But now that we've done the shenanigans with the poison area and the puppet, we're going to be moving on to El Pollo Loco, the greatest boss in Lies of P. And we're going to be navigating the bootleg Sen's Fortress sequence here. Just a show of hands, guys, for the people that have made it this far. Does anybody like these sections with the balls? I feel like this is an homage to something that wasn't that good. I like Sen's Fortress and I appreciate it, especially during invasions. But I feel like there's this weird reverence to stupid stuff that doesn't necessarily need to exist. And all these Souls-likes tend to do it. This one in particular seems to be really hung up on some of the things that made Dark Souls quite memorable. It's an interesting fascination. This enemy here, I call him the crash test dummy. This guy has hyper armor, so the whole game up to this point has taught you that mashing enemies is a good way of winning. This monster teaches you that it's not. The easiest way to spot them is they have no clothing on. If the puppet has no clothing, it's going to have incredible priority, and that way you want to practice your backstabs. Backstabs in this game work a lot like Dark Souls. Get behind them, see the icon change to red, and then bank it. Very damaging, very fun. Quite tricky at times. The other area we were just in, we just opened a shortcut then, leads to an NPC. I don't know if I go back and kill him, I think I forget. We'll have to find out together. I don't recommend fighting that NPC, because there's just no need, really. You're in a small room, he's got a lot of lives, and he input reads you into oblivion. But if you like fighting him and you need the souls, feel free to do it. But I'm going to probably skip him, because I think the NPCs in this game are awful. And I'm going to talk about those guys when they turn up. But there's Venigni, he's going to come in handy later on. There's the Stargazer, and now we're going to come back into this area and try and clear it out. This area, to me, is one of the most disappointing areas in the game, because I love the idea of being in this kind of industrial place and being in these factories, and I just think that they made them the most simple, square box, nothing happening, nothing interesting factories that they physically could. And there's something about that aesthetic, you know, of this time period with the chimney chimney stacks and the brick and everything. I come from an industrial area where that was huge, and there's still the remnants of those facilities when they're all the foundries and the steelworks and whatnot and the brickworks. So it would have been really cool to see that embraced, and we've got the chimney sweepers and all these other little touches, and then instead we just come into this area, and I just feel like most of this area could have been significantly better than it is. And I think you can have that criticism of a lot of the levels in Lies of P. I like them, and I think they look great, because I think the game's a tour de force visually. But you cannot defend that the level design is very basic, very simplistic, and could have been a lot more interesting. Then again, Shovel Knight's back, and this guy's always fun. At the beginning of this fight, if you don't clear the room of the bombers, you are going to be introduced to the concept of just hit scan bombs. These guys... anything that throws anything in this game is Shroud. It's Shroud on his best day, dude. It's Shroud as a satnav that's become sentient and is wanting to partake in CSGO tournaments. It's miserable. They're so fast, they're so accurate, they're so insidious and constant. You have to get rid of them. And you'll notice here, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm showcasing my favourite handle that you've seen in many videos if you watch my channel. And it is the Salamander Dagger. And it's an interesting thing, this, because you shouldn't use this handle how I'm using it, but I'm going to show you exactly why you should. In this game, there is a system of the handle assembly that has a cardinal rule. And that cardinal rule is, if you pair a handle with a blade that has a similar moveset to what the blade or the handle does well, you will get the proper damage you're supposed to get. And this translates to, if your handle is good at slashing, if you put a slashing moveset on it, or a slashing weapon, sorry, on it, you will get the correct damage you need to do when you combine the two. However, if you put a weapon that's not good at slashing on a slashing handle, there will be an arrow pointing down telling you that it is reducing your damage. And when you see that, or when you first learn this, you might think, oh wow, that's really bad, I'm not going to do that, I'm only going to do it like this and this and this. And you can do that if you want to, it's fair, it has that merit. But I'm going to will you to experiment. Because on my first playthrough, I came across this handle. And this handle is an advanced handle. It's meant to be for stacking a status effect really quickly with a knife. That's what it does best. But I put greatswords on it. And when you put greatswords on it, greatswords do have slashing, but they're weak on thrust. And this weapon technically does have a thrust when you R1, but I don't really use it. However, the R2 is a slash, and the R2 is incredibly fast. So you have the capacity to put lots of damage on a fast handle that R2 looks like an R1. And not only does it look like an R1 because of how quick it is, but it's horizontal. And anything that slashes horizontally is so quick and so useful that it's just a hitbox in front of you. And then the final part about this, the two final parts I should say, is that not only does it have those features which make it really, really strong, it also has an incredibly fast charging R2. So depending on the situation, you can charge R2s instead of doing normal R2s and get a different move, which is like a diagonal slash, and it's very quick too. So because the charge R2 is fast, it's really good at staggering bosses and staggering enemies because it's safer, because it's quicker. It has a really good high damage, high reward, like low risk R2 because it's super fast. And then its Fable move, its first Fable move is like a powerful slash, which is okay, I don't really use it. But the B plus Y that you see on my inputs, ignore the inputs, it's because I changed my bindings. The handle move is the most powerful attacking backing away move that I've used on a handle yet. And I've not experimented with all of them, but this one is so good because it does like 3000 damage and it moves you about 2 to 3 meters away. So it is an attack that also evades. The utility of that move is so high, I would use it the entire walkthrough because it's that fucking cool, but I didn't want to do it just to prove a point. You should do it. That's how strong it is.